This Portobello mushroom pizza is a new weeknight staple that I think you're gonna love because it's all the components of pizza on top of a mushroom, and it's really quick. Can't wait for you to try it. To make these Portobello pizzas, we're gonna start with Portobellos. Now, I love to get Portobello mushrooms. You can use them for lots of different things. You can even just eat them as like almost a Portobello steak. Now, sometimes they're not perfect. You can see this one has a little piece out of it. We're gonna use it anyway. So when you buy them, you usually get them like this. They have the cap, the stem. Now, you wanna brush off the tops if there's any debris on them, but the stem here, I just take out because we wanna make a solid base for pizza and for toppings. This is really just kind of simple traditional toppings for a homey Midwestern pizza, but on top of Portobello. So when you're asking why are you using Portobello? One, I like to switch it up. When it comes to weeknight meals, guess what's really quick? These, you don't have to let them rise. Even if you don't mind the gluten or anything, you don't have to let them rise. They're just ready to go. And honestly, once these are roasted, I think we have a bad view of vegetables sometimes. When a Portobello is roasted, it takes on this really deep flavor that is beautiful and almost has a meatiness to it. So there are so many elements and textures in this Portobello pizza that will make these really satisfying and perfect for a weeknight meal. So I'm reserving the stems because I don't like to throw things out or waste, but I am just taking them off because they're not gonna, they're not gonna make it work as well. So I have them sitting here, and now what I'm gonna do, mushrooms, like eggplant, are really like a sponge. So whatever you put on them, like oil, I really wanna make sure to get it on them because guess what? They're just gonna soak it in. That's what mushrooms really do. They really soak in whatever you do. So I'm gonna put it right over them, and then I like to dress them a little bit with some red wine vinegar. Now, I make my own red wine vinegar. When I have leftover red wine, I just put raw, like apple cider vinegar in it. It has to be raw, and then let it sit, and it turns into vinegar. So I'm just gonna put in a little bit. Now what this does is it really just seasons them. It adds almost a dressing where you can see we're just really drizzling a small amount on, because again, they act like a sponge, so they're gonna soak this in. And what I wanna do here is actually flavor the mushrooms. I wanna get this down to the mushroom level as opposed to all the toppings, which obviously the toppings are gonna have flavor. That's no question. We're gonna have the sauce, we're gonna have good sausage. It's all gonna come together, but we want the mushroom itself to be flavored. So to start, since these are so dense, so thick, I'm gonna get them roasting. So I'm gonna put them right into a nice high heat oven to make sure they start roasting well. And then we're gonna get everything else ready. I'm using a good sausage for this. You can use an Italian sausage, a sweet sausage, whatever you like, but I am gonna brown it because you need to have it cooked because it's not gonna have enough time in the oven to actually cook. So I'm gonna add it to kind of like a medium heat, break it up slightly. I like this flavor of sausage because I feel like it's just one of those versatile, when you're doing a pizza like this, that's very, to me, what I would have grown up with, what mom would have made, this isn't anything like authentic. It's just one of those delicious things. And sausage, a lot of times we're gonna have in our freezer, we're gonna have around, and that's why I like to use it. Now I am also making sure all those caps I took off of the mushrooms, I'm chopping them up because I don't wanna waste those. That's great mushroom flavor. And I'm gonna actually just add them right in with the meat. It's gonna add a little bit more substance, but guess what? When they actually cook, when they brown, guess what they become? They become almost meat-like. And I think that's what's important here to realize is you don't wanna waste. I think when it comes to all foods, this goes for broccoli stems, cauliflower stems, peel things that you think are too tenuous and eat them because guess what? They're pretty much just a vegetable. So I'm just chopping them up. You don't have to be too fine because it's gonna go with the meat. I'm just gonna go over and add these right in with it, let them brown with it. I just think it's a way to make sure you're not wasting, make sure you're not just throwing things away, and it really is, it's just food. And so when you realize that, you realize we may as well just use it. So I'm gonna let this slowly cook. I want it to fully brown, and while it's doing that, we can get our sauce ready. When I'm gonna make the sauce, everything kind of comes together. So I pulled these out. You can see they're starting to reduce. They have a little bit of liquid on them. If it feels like a lot, you can always take a paper towel and just sop it up, but it just kind of depends on the mushroom, sometimes how dry or much moisture they have in them. Mushrooms have a lot of moisture oftentimes. But I have my meat here and that's browned. So what we wanna do is really think of the base on top of these mushrooms, which is the sauce. And I wanna make this quick. I want it to be a weeknight, and so this is what we would do growing up. We would take some tomato sauce and we would just season our own and make the flavors. So we're gonna have dried basil. Dried or fresh work here. You just have to remember, dried has a lot more flavor. So when you do dried, you need about half the amount you do as fresh. Now I'm using dried because again, pantry staples is what we have. Some dried oregano, some dried garlic, which I think is is underrated. We need to be able and feel comfortable using that. I like some red pepper flakes. Again, you know me, I like heat. If you don't like heat, don't add any or add less. And we definitely need some salt. We definitely want some salt to balance all this out. So we're just gonna mix that together, and this is just a really quick, homey, easy pizza sauce. Like, this isn't one that's cooked. This is a weeknight quick meal. It's one of those things that you want to be able, your kids could even get this ready, and that's what's best. Use this on your actual pizzas too. It's wonderful. So now we can think about building these. So we're gonna start with some sauce. Now, you don't want to over sauce them. You just want to think you want to have a nice amount there. And even on the ones that seem thin or you're worried they're gonna drip off, don't worry about that. This is a weeknight meal. People are gonna love it. Now, you have to realize, so I know some people are gonna be like, I hate mushrooms. Okay, that's probably isn't the pizza for you. But what I like about these is we have the base of a mushroom, which means oftentimes mushroom might be a topping, might be one of those elements, but instead we can think now of all the things we like that could go with mushrooms, because obviously they're gonna have good mushroom flavor. So what we're gonna do here is, you can make as many as you want. That's what's great. You could feed a crowd with these. But now I like to think of what I'm gonna put on top. Now, I'm gonna start with some sausage. That's why I did this. Now, it has that little bit of the mushroom caps in it. Don't get stuck on that. You hardly even know it's in there. And I mean, the base is mushroom. So if you're getting this far, I think you're okay with some more mushroom on it. Now, I like sausage again because I like the flavor. I like that it has a big flavor impact. It adds some interest. I mean, again, these aren't artisan pizzas, people. I'm not gonna bill them as that. These are just ones that you can make at home and that are pretty simple and quick to put together. Now, if you don't like the mushrooms, this is an easy one to switch up. Use non-flatbreads, use pita, use whatever you have. So I'm gonna make sure that meat gets on there. And now for the toppings, I have some red pepper, I have green pepper. Little known fact about me. I'm gonna tell you guys a secret that not everyone knows. I don't love bell pepper. It's not my favorite. I'll eat it, and I get it. It should be on pizza sometimes, but it's not my go-to. I'm gonna use some here. So we're just gonna sprinkle this on. I remember when I was younger, I would go out, especially during the growing season, I would always make pizza. That was my thing. I loved to make pizza. I'd make a quick dough, make pizza. I'd run out to the garden and I would look for whatever was growing. And that's what the pizza was. So oftentimes it was kind of a, I guess you could call it a supreme pizza, but it had pretty much anything from the garden. It would have peppers. Yes, I would put peppers on it. It would have peppers, different colors. I love the different colors. I would sometimes get some fresh herbs, although mom didn't grow as many fresh herbs, so it just depends. And onion, I would usually grab onion. Even if they were kind of smaller, I would grab some of the smaller ones. And it was just kind of fun to make your own. So that's what really this can be. This can be an assembly line. You have the mushroom already, so you don't have to think of mushroom going on top. But if you love mushroom, you could even put more on. But to me, some onion, and yes, this is gonna roast again in the oven, so you'll get some of that cooked down. And I always would put my vegetables on raw. Again, this is like one of those weeknight pizzas, and we're roasting at a temperature where they're gonna soften, still retain some of their texture, which is good. And now we can think of cheese. You could do whatever cheese you want. I like to use some fresh mozzarella. You can do, if you don't wanna do that, do a shredded cheese you like. I just think there's something about the mozzarella that I like. It has some good flavor. It has some good melting, obviously, capabilities. I like the texture of it. And to me, that's the important part here, is to make it kind of how you like it. So I even like to just rip it a little bit so you can get maybe some of the toppings coming through, some of the cheese coming through, and that's really gonna be the important part here. See, we're ripping and putting it on, so as it melts over parts of it, but also leaves other parts exposed. So it's kind of like that little layer of, oh, what's under there? And you can kind of see bits and pieces. Now imagine this, maybe if you can get your kids to eat things like this, you could have a party where they make their own. I think interactive food is what always, for my nieces and nephews, that's what always helps, is when you can get them involved and say, hey, do you wanna make your own? It's always more fun. It's always a little bit more enjoyable, and it makes them maybe wanna try something they wouldn't usually because they're gonna pick it out. So once I have the cheese on there, we're ready to pop these back in the oven. So we're gonna put these back in the oven, let them roast, let the cheese melt, the vegetables soften slightly, and then we can eat. I took these out a few moments ago, and you can see some of the liquid still from the mushrooms leaks out. Totally normal, don't worry about that. But I love when the cheese gets a little bit browned, everything kind of shows. I'm gonna take the one that was not good to begin with, and we're gonna try that one. This is what I love though, is they're a contained pizza. It's like a personal little pan. I mean, depending on the person, 2 might be a serving, other people 1, it just depends. But what I love about it is, it's just a nice, easy, quick weeknight meal. And think of all the different options you can have with this. So you have that meaty, which honestly, I know you can't tell, but when I'm cutting through, even with my fork, it's meaty, that mushroom, which is what I like. It has a nice meat to it. And so you get that nice kind of steak quality of it. Okay, what I like is you get different notes as you're going. So first I got the mushroom. And I got just a slight seasoning from that red wine vinegar we put on. Not a lot, just like something that there was something to the mushroom. But then instantly I'm getting pizza. So you're getting that sauce, the vegetables, the sausage, the cheese, and it all just has those layers where like your brain is, this is pizza. You don't even think about the mushroom part of it. So it's almost just like you took all the toppings of a pizza now that I think about it, which is the best part sometimes. I know the crust lovers are gonna kill me, but hey, this is great. And what I love about it is it's quick, it's simple, it's maybe lighter if you're going for that, but guess what? For those out there that don't wanna think they wanna go lighter, it's still just as good and it's hearty and delicious and filling. That's what matters. This puts food on the table. That's what a weeknight meal is all about. So what do I hope you do with this? I hope you share the video around, because when you share these videos, yeah, it does. It helps me a lot, but it helps other people see if this guy can make food, anybody can make food. It's all about just getting in the kitchen, feeling comfortable, feeling confident, and making something that tastes good. That's what we need every weeknight. So I hope you try it. I hope you check my website, wiseguy.com, for this recipe, other recipes. And until next time, enjoy something delicious. That's the best part.